I moved to a tankless electric system because I was done with the bulky metal barrel taking over an entire corner. I have a household with 2 adults and 2 kids, and our hot water needs are pretty typical. Morning showers, dishes, laundry, and the occasional bath night. I wanted something that could keep up without forcing me to schedule showers like appointments. This is a compact, wall-mounted tankless unit that fits best in small to medium homes with moderate hot water needs, especially where incoming water is not ice-cold most of the year. The design surprised me. It is a slim, white rectangle with clean corners that looks more like a modern appliance than a utility box. It is roughly 17 inches tall, around 14 inches wide, and about 3.5 inches deep. It weighs around 14 pounds, which is a dramatic change from the heavy tank it replaced. The face has a simple digital temperature display and a single dial. That dial matters because I can set an exact temperature in 1-degree steps from around 80 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and that 1-degree control actually shows up in daily use. The whole thing sits on the wall and barely intrudes into the space. My old tank felt like a roommate. This just blends into the background. Getting it installed took some planning. This is the part that most glossy reviews skip, but it is where the decision either makes sense or becomes a headache. The unit runs on 240 volts and draws up to 18 kilowatts, which meant my electrical panel needed work. I had an electrician add 2 new double-pole 40-ampere breakers and make sure the wiring and grounding were up to code. On the plumbing side, I had a plumber reroute the hot and cold lines and add isolation valves and a basic sediment filter ahead of the unit. The filter is not mandatory, but I have slightly hard water and I want to protect the internal heating elements and sensors. None of this was a quick swap. It was a proper half-day of coordinated work. The upside is immediate. The second that big tank was gone, I got a chunk of garage space back that I now use for storage shelves. Using it is easy in a way that almost disappears into muscle memory. I set the temperature once and rarely touch it. Most days I keep the dial between 132 and 135 degrees Fahrenheit, which feels comfortably hot at the tap and gives the dishwasher what it needs. If I push it to 140, the water comes out nearly scalding, so I save that for specific cleaning tasks. There is a short pause when I open a hot tap, because water has to move through the unit and heat up, but after a few seconds, it locks into the set temperature and stays there. That stability is the big difference I noticed compared to my old tank, which had that annoying pattern of getting a bit too hot, then falling off, especially toward the end of a long shower. Performance comes down to 2 things for me. Can it keep up with real life? And does it do that without wasting energy? The Eco-18 has a rated maximum flow of about 3.51 gallons per minute. In real terms, in my climate, that means 1 full shower with strong pressure while the dishwasher runs, or 2 showers at once if both people do not crank the hot handle all the way open. When I push it, say with a shower and the washing machine filling at the same time, I can feel the unit working near its limit, but the water has stayed hot and usable. In winter, when the groundwater temperature drops, it takes a touch longer to get to temperature, and it is a little more sensitive to someone opening a second tap, but it is still very controlled. I never had that dreaded ice blast halfway through shampoo. If I were running 3 showers at the same time every morning, I would want a larger model. For my family, the balance has been right. What I like is how it handles the little changes as different fixtures open and close. I can hear a faint hum when it ramps up, and the display ticks its numbers as the internal system modulates. It is quiet enough that I forget it is there. The self-modulating design does not sound exciting on paper, but in day-to-day use, it means the unit only pulls as much power as needed for the temperature I set and the water I am actually using. Over the first few billing cycles, my electric use nudged down compared to the old tank that kept reheating water all day and night. I am not quoting a percentage because every home is different, but I noticed it, and the pattern has held. Real-world testing for me has been straightforward. Morning rush hour is 2 showers back-to-back, then the dishwasher. I let the water run for a few seconds until the temperature stabilizes, and then it is set. Dinner cleanup is the bigger stress test, because hot water demand spikes and falls as I rinse plates, then pause, then rinse again. The heater keeps up without that temperature wobble that used to make hand washing uncomfortable. On laundry day, I time the hot wash to start when no one is showering. The machine fills fine, and the shower later is still hot. The only time I notice any hiccup is when a faucet is barely cracked open to a warm trickle. The heater has a minimum flow it needs to sense, so if I try to wash my hands with a super light stream, sometimes it does not kick on. Opening the tap a little more solves it, and then I can dial it back a bit once it is running. A specific use case where this shines is back-to-back showers on a weekend after my kids' sports practice. With the old tank, the second shower always felt like a race against the clock. Now I do not think about it. Shower 1 ends, shower 2 starts, and the water temperature is the same from the first minute to the last. Another scenario is a big dishwashing session after cooking. I set the faucet to a comfortable hot level and it does not drift hotter or cooler as I stop and start. The consistency makes chores feel less annoying, which is not glamorous, but it matters. There are smart touches that improve the experience. The 1-degree temperature control lets me tune it once and trust it. I do not need to mix as much cold at the tap, which makes the flow more predictable. The footprint is so small that I reorganized the garage and added a shelf exactly where the old tank sat, which sounds silly until you see how much air that big cylinder used to occupy. The whisper quiet operation helps too. Aside from a soft hum when it starts heating, there is not much to notice. And when it is idle, it is truly idle. It is not sipping power to keep a tank hot because there is no tank to maintain. Maintenance is the part I had to build a habit around. Tankless heaters need descaling, especially with hard water. I installed isolation valves so I can circulate a descaling solution through the unit once or twice a year. It is not a complicated task, but it is something I set a reminder for. Skipping it can lead to mineral buildup, slower heating, or sensor issues over time. Speaking of sensors, mine has been solid so far, but I did a lot of reading before I bought it, and I saw reports from other owners about occasional sensor failures and customer service being slow to respond. That did not scare me off, but I went in with eyes open. I am protecting it with the sediment filter and regular maintenance to give it the best chance at a long, boring life. There are limits to keep in mind. The flow rate ceiling is real. For a bigger household where 3 people shower at the same moment every morning, or for homes with very cold groundwater for many months, the Eco 18 might feel a bit stretched. In that case, a larger model would be smarter. Also, take installation seriously. This is a high-draw electrical appliance. Having a licensed electrician upgrade the panel and a plumber set up proper valves and connections made my experience smooth. It is not a casual do-it-yourself swap. After months of daily use, my take is simple. The EcoSmart Eco 18 electric tankless water heater fits my home well. It delivers consistent hot water, it saves space, and it sips power intelligently instead of heating a tank around the clock. I enjoy the exact temperature control, the quiet operation, and the way it shrinks a bulky utility into a slim, clean box on the wall. I accept the maintenance routine, and I am aware that if my family grows or our schedule changes to more simultaneous showers, I would need to move up a size. For a household like mine in a mild to warm climate with moderate hot water demands, it is a reliable upgrade over a traditional tank. If this video helped, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your questions or your own experience. I read every comment and I try to reply. Thank you for watching.